For centuries, sailors have whispered about the Kraken, something vast beneath the waves, an unseen power that can rise without warning and erase a ship from the surface of the world. The oldest accounts speak of a shape mistaken for land until it shifted and slid back into the black water. Across cultures and oceans, the same image emerges: the many-armed beast, the serpent of chaos, the shadow from the deep. Why do we all seem to remember the same monster? Some call it a myth. Others believe it's a warning passed down from those who saw it with their own eyes. The ocean still hides more than we have ever mapped, and in its depths are places where light has never existed. If something older than our history still waits there, would we recognize it when it finally surfaces, or only when it's too late? But here's the question: if this creature is only a legend, why do so many different civilizations describe the same monster? The Kraken isn't just a monster from ocean lore. It's woven into the very history of exploration, preserved by the hands of medieval cartographers. In an age before photography, before standardized charts, maps were not only navigation tools but vaults of humanity's collective memory. They were part travel guide, part history book, part mythological archive, pieced together from a patchwork of sailor testimonies, merchant gossip, and half-remembered oral traditions. By the 1500s, mapmakers like Olaus Magnus were turning this blend of fact and fear into art. His famed Carta Marina didn't just map the Scandinavian coastline, it filled the Norwegian Sea with monstrous figures so detailed and ominous they could be read as warnings. These were not idle doodles. They were carefully copied from older charts and manuscripts, even from medieval bestiaries, to ensure the legends outlived the men who first told them. Cartographers were monks, scholars, and navigators, working by candlelight to preserve knowledge as much as geography. They annotated coastlines with cryptic notes: "Waters boil here, bells heard from below," or the famous Hic sunt dracones, "Here be dragons." These inscriptions weren't decoration, they were memory anchors. And the creatures they drew were not confined to one culture. The Norse spoke of Jormungandr, the world serpent, so vast it encircled the earth. The Babylonians feared Tiamat, the primordial sea dragon. Greek sailors dreaded Scylla and Charybdis, one snatching men from their decks, the other swallowing entire ships in whirlpools. Across the Pacific, Polynesian voyagers passed down the legend of Taniwa, guardians of certain waters who could overturn canoes without warning. To the cartographers, these were not quaint fables. They were survival data, encoded in allegory and handed down through generations. Every beast etched into a map was both a cautionary tale and an inheritance, a reminder that beyond the familiar harbors and safe shipping lanes lay waters ruled by forces no man had mastered. They didn't just chart land, they mapped the boundary between the known and the unknowable. By 1752, the Kraken's legend was still alive enough to appear in the Natural History of Norway, written by Bishop Erik Pontoppidan. His book contained sworn testimonies from sailors and merchants, men with reputations to lose, who described the sea boiling without wind, ships rocking violently, and massive limbs breaking the surface. One account told of a whirlpool so sudden it dragged a ship down in seconds. Another spoke of a foul smell in the air moments before an attack, as if the ocean itself had soured. And here's the strange part. Centuries later, science would uncover predators whose traits match these stories almost exactly. And in a moment, you'll see why scientists can't rule out that the Kraken might still exist. Centuries later, science began to offer a possible explanation. A creature so strange it might have been mistaken for a legend. The giant squid, Architeuthis dux, a predator stretching over 40 feet from tip to tentacle with eyes the size of dinner plates, the largest eyes of any animal on Earth, evolved to track prey in absolute darkness. It lives in what marine biologists call the midnight zone, thousands of feet down, where no sunlight has ever reached, and the pressure is so crushing it could implode a submarine in seconds. For most of human history, it existed only in pieces: severed tentacles washed ashore after storms, or half-digested remains pulled from the stomachs of sperm whales. Scientists knew it was real, But to study it alive was almost impossible. It was as if the animal itself lived in defiance of being known. Then, in 2004, everything changed. A Japanese research team lowered baited cameras into the deep and, for the first time, captured footage of a living giant squid in its own world. It appeared suddenly from the black, arms whipping forward with shocking speed, before vanishing again into the void. The sighting lasted seconds, but it was enough to prove that something once confined to myth could, in fact, be filmed. And yet, that wasn't the end of the story. 3 years later came a revelation even more unsettling. The colossal squid. Not just longer, up to 46 feet, but heavier, denser, and armed with rotating hooks where suction cups should be. These hooks could twist and tear through flesh, even through the thick hide of a whale, and it wasn't found in some unreachable abyss. It was pulled from Antarctic waters where commercial fishing vessels still operate today. The lesson was clear. The ocean we think we know, the same waters we cross in cruise ships and cargo freighters, is already home to predators that were once nothing more than sea monster stories. If creatures of this scale can survive in places we've already explored, what could be waiting in the vast, untouched depths we've never even seen? But the strangest evidence didn't come from the 1700s. It came from a sonar screen in 2016. In 2016, off Norway's coast, the same waters tied to the Kraken legend, sonar operators detected a moving object bigger than a blue whale. It didn't move like a whale, it pulsed, slowly and deliberately, as if something with massive limbs was swimming in the dark. For 14 minutes, it was there, then it vanished. No vessel was close enough to investigate. The data was archived, debated quietly, and never explained. Myths are public dreams, fragments of something ancient in the human mind. The Kraken may be one of those fragments, a symbol for the dangers that wait in the uncharted places, drawn on the edges of maps so we'd remember them. The Kraken isn't just a monster in the water. It's the shadow at the edge of our maps, the thing we imagine when we admit we don't know what's out there. We've explored less than a fifth of the ocean. The rest is darkness, the kind where legends can live for centuries without being proven wrong. The old cartographers may have been right to write here be monsters, and maybe one of them still moves beneath us. If you've heard stories of strange things at sea, leave them in the comments. And if the Kraken has you wondering what else might be out there, wait until you meet the Leviathan, a predator so large it could make the Kraken look small. Click here if you dare.